Okay. Yo, it's your boy Vic Raw. I've been out of the mix. I've been in the cuts, and I'm here to say what's up. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Design, where we break down designers, who they are, where they came from, and tips and tricks that they can share with other designers and upcoming people in the world, in the creative space. We have no other than Graphics by SC. Sergio, please, can you introduce yourself and, why did you get in design in the first place?
What's going on? My name is Sergio. I'm 23, recently just picked up graphic design, like a lot of people pretty much over the pandemic. My story is a little interesting. I went to school for something completely different, kinesiology, exercise science, so something entirely out of the odds. But I continued through it. I had an interesting roommate the one year. So that kind of put me in some situations that made me want to expand on my own ideas inside of my room per se. So I spent a lot more crafts. I used to produce, I used to DJ, so I'm familiar with a lot of the medias and what people want to see. So I decided just to take up, I downloaded Affinity Photo. So ever since then, I've been using Affinity Photo, and I've just been in my room manipulating stuff, and I kind of loved it. I looked up to a lot of some designers. I even made a couple tracks myself. So I had to look for some cover artists that actually designed well. Some of them being Three Seater and Slouse Media. I don't know if you've heard of them, but pretty great designers, man, honestly. So
Nice.
they've been my inspirations coming from so far, and that's pretty much how I've been. And ever since the pandemic, a lot of my family's, I would want to say, older, so I try to stay inside more and try to think of a way to make money without breaking a back or putting anyone at risk on my own end. So it's important, to see what you can do as a person.
Yeah, no.
That's pretty much the route I decided to go, and that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm still beginning, but
Right. That's it's very interesting. Two things that I definitely want to point out. One is the fact that you recently picked up graphic design, and number two, you talked about Affinity Photo, because it's like, I think up to now, every single designer that I've talked to has spoken about the fact that they use Photoshop. So do you use Photoshop in addition, or Affinity Photo is your main like go-to?
yeah, Affinity Photo is pretty much the main
Interesting.
go-to. The reason being is because I'm a Mac user, so
Yeah.
I have my iPad, I have my iPhone, so it's really convenient to be able to switch off like that. The
Mm.
Photoshop at this time last year wasn't still up to date on the iPad. Like, you could still do stuff, but it came to a point where with what I wanted to do, I might as well wait till I get home to open up my laptop. Being
Mm.
on the road, being home, wanting to explore different opportunities to just not be at my desk on my laptop. I was like, I'm gonna pick up an iPad, see what they have, and Infinity Photo was pretty much where I went to. And honestly, it's just as powerful. And they honed in the iPad, man, and being able to switch from iPad to Mac to being able to, the versatility is ridiculous, and that's pretty much why.
Mm.
Photoshop has a lot of options though, like
Yeah.
plugins. Like, you have that versatility in that sense, but it's really about what you can do. You know what I mean? It's never
Mm.
about what software you can use. But I mean, I do have Photoshop on the side. Like, when I do collabs, important to have something that everybody uses, something that you can just go into and say, all right, hey, I'm ready. You don't ever want to be in a situation you're not ready. So
Most definitely.
yeah.
Wow. And so, okay, so it sounds like, Affinity Photo is a program that benefits you because you're able to be versatile with it. You're able to use it on the fly. You're able to use it on the go. Can you talk about why, like, so we understand sort of why you got into it more, like, all right, like, you know, pandemic, you're inside, you want to make money, you know, doing something where you're able to be remote, but you know, how did you get started? Like, you know, how did that transition come into the world of design, and what were the things that helped you become successful in like honing in on your skills?
Honestly, connecting. Um, I,
Mm,
I I couldn't be here without connecting with people.
mm.
I had a lot of mentors coming here, like
Oh, wow.
again, like a lot of inspirations, a lot of mentors. Three seater was huge. He offered me tons of directions.
Yeah.
He's a huge 3D designer now, but it's all about connecting and figuring out kind of what you want to do, and that's kind of what I wanted to do was, well, what can I do to help people? I've seen so many people with bad art, including my own friends, you know, even logos. So it's like it hurts, it pains me to
Yeah.
see that because the eyes appreciate beautiful things, you know. So I wanted to be that connecting point between, I want to say, more of the music industry and
Mm.
people who don't understand that art is bigger than just a couple letters on a screen, you know? So I just, again, like I dove into it. I dove into it and I started connecting with other artists and figuring out, yo, how did you do that? Just
Yeah.
ask questions. It's social media, you know, like
Yeah.
you use social media to be social. So that's pretty much how I did it and really how I got into it. And that's pretty much why I love it.
Nah, it's beautiful that you bring that up because it's like, you know, I mean, we're in the face of a digital renaissance right now. Everything is becoming digital, and with all of that, like, you know, for people to even pay attention to you in the first place or to even care, like, you know, you got to grab them aesthetically before they even click a song. Like, I don't even
Right.
think people understand that. So okay, so you know, you talked about affinity photo and you talked about how you got here. Can you walk us through your creative process, and does that creative process differ between when you're doing stuff, you know, in your free time versus like when you're working on stuff for clients?
Absolutely. So client work always goes by, you know, what the client wants.
Yeah,
So that's number one, hands down. I love making people happy. I worked at Chick-fil-A for 3.5 years. Customer service is kind of my thing.
yeah.
So, but yeah, like when it comes to my own stuff, I'm still trying to find my own style, honestly.
Mm,
And it's hard to find your own style. I think right now the big thing is like digital paintings and using displacement filters and figuring that out. So I think that's kind of like where art's going with NFTs too, possibly. Another
yeah,
topic, but
yeah.
um with clients, I dive into what they want. I try to make it my own. I never look at other covers and be like, all right, this is what I want. If a client's like, yo, I want something like this,
Yeah.
you know, client wants what a client wants. But I honestly, man, it's like if I have full creative freedom, that's the best. That's the best
Mm,
type of freedom because I'm able to just go right into it. I prefer going with the flow. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I know I don't know if a lot of artists like doing that, but I can comfortably go on Affinity Photo and just start designing and get get a project done and deliver what needs to be delivered in a timely manner and also create some fire in the process.
Sheesh. Most definitely, most definitely. And you know, it seems like you had a breath of fresh air when it came down, like, you know, you explaining, oh, you have a full creative freedom, like you're able to go, you're able to, you know, go crazy. I guess what is your favorite part of having that freedom besides, you know, being able to like really like you know, execute without like with little or minimal client interference?
Honestly, I want to say it's benefit it's kind of a mental health thing per se.
Mm, that's
It's one
interesting.
of the it really is. I know a lot of people who went to arts and medias for the benefit of their own mental health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people just put all that energy and all that passion into it. So when I have that creative freedom and I have that ability to do what I want, I'm putting who I am into my art. You know,
Mm.
I try to manipulate it into clientele work too. You know, I like put my own little twist on things. I try not to surprise clients, but you know, if that kind of answers the question.
Yeah. It definitely does, and it definitely makes some sense. Okay, so now that we're on that topic of mental health, um, and client work, can you talk about what is your least favorite parts about freelancing? Like, there like I mean, from the outside looking in, like you can see these people, they're popping, like they're probably getting a bunch of requests, they're doing work, they're getting commissions, it's all cool, but everything that glitters isn't always gold all the time. So can you
Right.
go into like the parts that you don't necessarily like about freelancing and commissions?
Yeah, honestly, if I could give two, it's friendly fraud charges.
Hmm.
Friendly fraud's the worst. And also the amount of revisions and expectations. And I'm sure that's said a lot, but it's true. And it's so true. When you're not working with a company that's worked with other graphic designers before, a lot's expected of you. And
Mm.
when you're not delivering on what they want, as you know, the client, chargebacks can occur, unauthorized transaction, bank's
Wow.
favor. You know, I've had it happen to me where it's like it's a whole car payment, and it's like you use that money to pay your car payment off, and a month later you get a chargeback, and it's like, well, I don't have that money now.
Yeah.
So it's hard, man. It's really hard. Clients really want so much out of one price, so it's really important to put that in front, like, yo, this is how many revisions you get, this is what's included, this is what's not, and having a contract ready to go for them, because it's one of the hardest parts about working as a freelancer and working as someone who deals with people who are kind of not a million followers. You know,
Yeah.
someone who wants to work with the underground community and build them up. Yo, I got fire art for you, trust me. Or hey
Mm.
man, I got you on the logo for your business, stuff like that. So it really is just, it's like that.
Man, it's interesting that you say that because like, I've spoken to a few designers already, and like if it's one thing, it is the revisions. And I think like the problem is with revisions is the fact like there's not like a standardized definition of what a revision is. Like, you know, like a revision could be, hey, like, can you change, this font, or can you change the color of the background? But then another revision is like, oh, like, can you add another person here, which, is kind of changing the scope of the project and it's more work. And it's like, all right, man, like, is this really worth it?
Yeah, nah, seriously. And the revisions really, that, and that's how it is. And that's what I was saying. It's so important to have it in writing ahead of time. Like, yo, this is what my revisions include. Because what my revisions are isn't what, you know, his revisions are, isn't what her revisions
Exactly.
are, isn't what anyone else's revisions are. So, and you know, it's important when those types of topics come up, being right up front with your client. Hey, listen, you know, that's outside of our scope of what we originally discussed. You know, and come up with your own median, if that's an hourly rate, whatever, if it's a flat rate, you know, however you want to do it. But it's pretty much how I would say it's probably the best way to handle it. And honestly, if they're repeat clients too, it also depends. You know, do you give them an extra revision? Do you not? Do
Mhm.
you? But it's always good to help people, man. I always try to help people, even if it's like throwing an extra little photo in for an extra couple bucks or something. But I'm at that point where I value my worth and my time. So, and I think a lot of designers should, regardless of whether they're just starting out or whether they're experienced or whatever.
Exactly. Time is of the essence, especially as a designer, because,
Hmm.
not only is your time used to create the work, is spent doing all the other little things to manage your business. And so, speaking about like the marketing and the branding side of things, I know we talked about earlier, how you really look to your mentors and you look to community, really connecting with people to, help you where you were. Outside of that, what would you say were things that you did that were successful in you, like establishing yourself online to where people are like, okay, like, I like this guy's work. I know about him. Let me reach out to him and let's see what we could do together.
I would say I'm gonna ask you to go if you could repeat that again, because
Yeah,
I really wanna.
essentially what I'm asking is, what were the successful things that you did to help you brand and market yourself?
All right. It's a complicated one. It
Yeah,
really is. You need to stand out from everybody, and like it's just like the art you're designing. You yourself need to stand out. So it's one of those things where you really have to make yourself different, and that's where like I pride myself on being communicative, being personable. Having a sense of human ability of, hey man, I care. And a lot of people don't have that, so it's even just something that small sets you apart from somewhere, and you just have to figure out how to utilize that to your advantage. It's also important, make sure like you have your own good, like a good logo for yourself, make sure your
yeah.
portfolio looks amazing, make sure that you have a great website that backs you up. I mean, you don't need a website, of course. I was just checking out the Wavelengths options. Awesome. That's beautiful.
Thank
That's a
you.
perfect opportunity for people who don't have, $200-300 a year on websites plus whatever else they need to spend their money on for it. It's awesome. So I think it's really important just to establish yourself of who you are, make yourself a brand name. It's important that you're not some random designer down the street. It's great you can be, but be more of a brand of I want to say like stable, like instead of being like, I know my name's Graphics by SC, but I try to make it all about me. It's not
Yeah.
some random dude designing your art. It's Sergio C designing your art, and this is everything I have. I know some dudes are like, I don't know, John's graphics. Like, like it's okay, but
Yeah.
stand out, make yourself different, make yourself, wow, well, that's a unique name, It's simple as
Mhm.
that, man, honestly. And it just goes a long way. Interacting with hashtags too. Again, like I was saying earlier, using social media to be social, huge,
Yep.
absolutely huge, in making yourself marketable and making yourself known as a brand. I know it can get spammy, but even sending a couple messages to some people saying, "Hey, listen, as a brand, I think I can bring some value to your page, man." Like, and being genuine, not being like a bot and copy and pasting the same message over and over again. But yeah.
Nah, it definitely, like, it's really all about standing out at the end of the day. And I think what's also beautiful is the fact, like, the design world is expanding, more and more people are getting into it. So while that is good, the popularity is going up, like the competition is only going up as well. And what would you say are your favorite, social media platforms to, raise brand awareness and display and showcase your work?
For me, it's all Instagram. I
Mm,
noticed a lot of activity on Instagram, especially when I was like, again, like I made a few tracks a couple years ago, and when I
yeah.
was looking for designers, it was on Instagram. I didn't really know. I didn't want like some corporation like logobrands.com, to making my
Yeah.
logo or making my art, or so I wanted somebody who I could pay, and actually someone who could utilize the money and really use it. So, and it's um sorry, I lost track
Now
there.
you good. You were talking about Instagram and how it helped you,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Instagram, I again, I really use it for like going through hashtags, connecting with other local artists. I love being local, like you said. Like you reached out to me because I'm from Philadelphia. I have, I'm in the area.
Yep.
I try to do the same, man. I love working with Philadelphia-based artists. Like a lot of my clientele is from there, and a lot of them's referral after referral after referral. So it really is. It's one of them things. Facebook's cool too if you can kind of market yourself as such. I think Facebook's a certain tool more for logos, if you ask me. I'm not
Yeah.
on Facebook looking for cover art, more for
Yeah.
branding and stuff like that. But yeah, Instagram, I think, is definitely one of the most helpful tools you could possibly use.
Wow, wow. And as we bring this interview to a close, like I know you shared earlier more about like having contracts, being able to be very transparent with the client, like, okay, this is the terms, these are the agreements of what we have, going in. And you talked about your journey and how you've been successful in branding, all the way from the programs that you use to the collaborations that you've also done. So if you were to start all over, knowing what you know now, like what tips and tricks, do you feel would be the most useful for you, like in helping you like break through?
Helping me break through, man. Don't doubt the power of, I want to say, asset sites, man. Like,
Hmm.
they're huge. They help you ridiculously. Obviously, you don't just copy and throw it on, your art. You do a little manipulation, but the asset sites give you everything you need. Envato Elements is one.
Yep.
I love it. I'd like to shout that out because I didn't even know about that until 3 months ago when someone was like, "Don't you have Envato?" I was like, "What's Envato,
Yeah.
man?" So, but I would say, I would definitely say, the power, textures, brushes, stuff like that, and that's all. Obviously, it's all included in Envato, but again, being different with how you use your stuff, man. Being different
Hmm.
with everything you use, and never underestimating the power of what's available to you. You don't got to take a picture of somebody and then put angel wings on them yourself and go buy an $800 camera. Like, there's stuff available to you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Use it, because otherwise it's going to be a writer's block after writer's block after writer's block, and it's not fun doing that. So using stuff that you are able to use legally, even if it means purchasing it, just do it, man. Like, they're so beneficial for you, and it's a little upfront cost, but I promise you, one client is going to pretty much pay for it all.
Yep.
Like, so it's just one of them things where I really think that in order to break through and really drive difference, is using what you have differently than what other people do. And that's pretty
Mm.
much what it really comes down to.
Yeah. Nah, agreed all the way. And the main takeaways that I was able to get away is just like, number one, like invest in yourself. Number two,
Absolutely.
attention to details. Like as you shared, right? It's the little things that are gonna, make you stand out. And I think number three is just, keep going, find ways to create new opportunities for yourself. As you shared, like referral will be got new referral, and you never know what's gonna come for you, at the end of the day. So you just keep going.
Absolutely, man. That's really what it comes down to. Word of mouth is huge, and you would I'd rather be known locally than globally.
1000%. Well, man, Sergio, it's been a pleasure. Man, is there any
Absolutely.
other closing thoughts that you would like to share before we close?
Nah, I would just like, if I could just give a shout out. Number one, to
Please.
you. Thank you so much for having me,
Oh,
man. Like,
yes.
it was a pleasure doing this. Also, shout out the We Are Omega team on
Oh,
Instagram.
man.
We're a whole group of designers, man, and
Oh,
they've just
wow.
been nothing but a whole inspiration the entire way. We're participating in a contest for Cover Art University. I don't know if you've heard of them on Instagram.
Let me look at
Absolutely,
them.
I would definitely recommend checking them out. They have a ton of artists on there too. They give great tips as well for cover artists.
Okay.
But they're doing a contest right now, so I just wanted to shout out my team. They've helped me so far, bringing me to where I am today too, man.
Beautiful, beautiful.